NASCAR's released the format for the Clash. We'll talk about that. Hendrick Motorsports is selling off a lot of Gen 6 parts if you're in the market for that, and some drivers announced new sponsorship deals. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. These sub-zero temperatures have me dreaming of Daytona. Oh, Matt, it could only be 60 degrees when you get down there. At this point, 60 degrees is going to feel like peak summertime to me. I'll wear shorts and a tank top in 60-degree weather at this point because this is zero, this negative stuff, it's for the birds. I'm over it. Let's get into what we want to talk about today. Then we're going to start off with the Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium. NASCAR announced the format for this race on Tuesday, and good news, you don't need a PhD in calculus from Cornell to be able to figure out how it's going to work. Unlike Brad Keselowski's attempt at setting up the All-Star race, this is actually not as confusing going forward. Of course, the Clash is split up over the course of 2 days, February 1st and February 2nd. We'll start with what's happening on Saturday, February 1st. On FS1, you have a practice and qualifying session where the field will be split up into 3 groups, and then you will have heat races from that. The heat races, of course, will be set up by that qualifying order. If you got the pole in qualifying, you start on the pole for heat number 1. Second fastest in qualifying, you start on the pole in heat number 2. And then it just goes down and fills itself out, so on and so forth the rest of the way. Pretty self-explanatory there. Each heat race, 4 heat races, 25 laps apiece. The only laps that count are green flag laps. That is great. So only green flag laps count towards that 25 lap total. The top 5 from each heat race advance on into the feature on Sunday night, which will of course be on Network Fox at 8 p.m. So what happens to all the people that don't advance out of the heat races? Those only 20 cars will advance and lock themselves in to the feature on Sunday night. That's going to leave a number of drivers that are left over. Well, good news for them. They get to come back on Sunday and try again because there is a last chance qualifier on Sunday on Fox. It will be 75 laps. The top 2 finishers in that LCQ will advance and lock themselves into that feature race, which will of course be the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium. Now, 23 cars will start this race. And some of you are math whizzes at home and you're like, Matt, if they lock in 20 from the heat races to advance out of the LCQs, that puts us at 22, not 23. Yes, that is because there is a provisional for the 23rd car, which will go to the car that finished highest in points in 2024, but did not lock themselves into that feature race. So it could be something as crazy as Joey Logano somehow doesn't manage to lock himself in through a heat race in an LCQ. He would be in. It could go all the way back to theoretically somebody in 23rd place in points last year, if we really want to go that route. So there's certainly the possibility for, an interesting name to not be locked in or somebody to just kind of get added in there as well. But it is a bit of a safeguard. So NASCAR makes sure that they have their bigger stars in this feature race. So overall, the feature race will be 200 laps. Once again, like the heat races, like the LCQ, only green flag laps count. Phenomenal for everybody. Of course, it's only a quarter-mile track, so having caution laps count would actually really suck because it would probably knock a decent bit of the race out there. There will be a break at the lap 100 mark, and this race must finish under the green flag, which means, hey, we could be here until Daytona rolls around. We could have a repeat of Nashville where we have 5 overtimes. There is not a limit on it. The race must finish under green, and this is the Madhouse, of course. Now, do I expect that to happen? Absolutely not. Not unless Tim Brown or Burt Myers lose their minds, somehow make it to the feature, drive across the football field, and start T-boning cars left and right like absolute mayhem. Wreckfest in real life, just playing out at Bowman Gray Stadium. Either way, I like this format. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. It gives you something to watch on Saturday. It gives you something to watch on Sunday, and it's giving you a good taste of racing. You're getting basically 100 laps of racing on Saturday, plus a practice and qualifying sessions. And then on Sunday, you're getting at minimum 275 laps of racing around Bowman Gray Stadium. So we'll see if the Madhouse lives up to its name, and hopefully it's not absolutely freezing cold when everybody gets there. Moving into the Hendrick Motorsports sale, Hendrick Motorsports is auctioning off a decent bit of their Gen 6 surplus. Some of the stuff has left over from the Gen 5 era as well. But if you're looking to pick up some stuff for a race car, potentially want to start an ARCA team, this might be the auction for you. It's happening over at Iron Horse. It ends on January 27th, and there's some pretty cool things that are here for it. If you're interested in buying a car that is basically track ready, good news for you, there is a Gen 6 NASCAR Cup car driven by Jimmy Johnson in the 2011 season, that is very much readily available for you to go ahead and purchase. Last time I looked, the price was up to $13,000. It's probably going to go for more. It is a turnkey car. It is the full car, suspension, drivetrain, everything is in there. It only has a 7-gallon fuel cell though, so you might want to up that if you do end up buying it. But if you're looking for a pretty cool track car, there's an opportunity for you. However, if you're like, no, I don't want that, I want to build it myself, built, not bought, right? You know, some people take pride in that. You can go ahead and buy an Alex Bowman 2019-2020 chassis. It's got the body on it. It's got everything you need except for all the parts that make it move. But it could be yours if you really want it at that. Or if you're an ARCA team, like you can get yourself into a Hendrick chassis for pretty cheap if we're being honest here. So you also have that ability as well. Say you do buy that chassis, you need a rear end for it. Good news. There's a dozen of them at least in this sale. You need coil springs. We got them out the wazoo. There's plenty of those to go around. Fuel pumps, got them. Dry pumps, got them. Anything that you could possibly want outside of like the Chevy R07 engine block, you can probably find in this sale, which brings me over. If you do have a Chevy R07 engine block, I have great news for you. You need some rocker arms? There is an entire crate of them for you to buy. You need connecting rods? They have enough connecting rods here that you could throw one every single week and not need another one for like 60 years from now. Of course, you're going to need a new block, and that's going to be super expensive. I don't recommend going that route. But if you need some connecting rods, they have them by the literal box load of them over there. They're just stacked everywhere. Say you need some heads, aluminum heads for it. They also have that. You need 1, 12, doesn't matter. You can go ahead and make that purchase as well. And all things considered, it's a lot cheaper than what it would have costed if you wanted to buy all this stuff brand new. And you can definitely get yourself into a stockpile of parts that's not going to really break the bank, if we're being honest. They also have some cooldown carts, crash carts, stuff like that for some of the smaller teams, like if you're an ARCA team, or if you have a track car and you want that as well, like a cooling rig, they've got it available if you want to go ahead and purchase it. They also have a number of other things, like a splitter table. Now, I have no idea what I would do with it. Kind of want it. I don't own a Gen 6 NASCAR Cup Series car. I don't own a car that has a splitter of that style on it, but I still kind of want one. Maybe I'll go out and just buy a bunch of Gen 6 Cup cars, like I'm Cletus McFarland, buy a racetrack, and we'll just strictly race those around the Break Hard Racing League, which goes to exactly one track, and we only race Gen 6 cars. I'm going to need that splitter table. But they also have a rear end dyno. Again, pretty niche. Also, would be kind of cool to have at that. They have a brake as well, a pneumatic brake. I actually really like using brakes. I think they're very cool once you understand how to use them. Been a big fan of them. My dad's machine shop had them in it. I actually really like using them. I kind of want one for my house. Is it going to fit? Yeah, it'll take up a good portion of the garage, but hey, still be nice to have one. And if you're into sim racing, you just really like playing iRacing, they do have simulator pods available. 2 of them branded up like Jimmy Johnson's number 48 car. One is unbranded. So if you want to, try to one up Jason Jacoby, you can do that. Never go full Jacoby, but I'm just saying, if you wanted to one up him, you can get one that was at Hendrick Motorsports and definitely led to at least a couple NASCAR Cup Series championships for Jimmy Johnson as well. Honestly, they are actually pretty cool. There's a number of different little sim pieces there. Clearly, they've moved on to something bigger and better because that Chevy sim is absolutely unreal. But if you wanted something that kind of makes you feel like you're in a race car, this could be the perfect opportunity for you. They're also auctioning off some like aluminum step stools, which is great if you're a short king and you can't see into your engine bay of the truck that you bought, because when you pop the hood, it's kind of just right there at your nose. And craning your neck to try to look down in there. Never been a problem for me, but I know it's a problem for some people out there. They also have a plethora of front fascias for the NASCAR Gen 6 Camaro body. Like if you need a Camaro front fascia, Hendrick Motorsports has one for you. They've got one for your friend. They've got one for your great aunt as well. There's a ton of them available. So if you're in the market for one of those, or just want to have one to put in your home office or in your TV room or something like that, there's plenty available if you want to go get them. There's also some wheels off of Camaros, not race Camaros, just regular street Camaros, a couple suspension systems as well. There's some parts for an LS7 that are in there. It kind of feels like a garage sale the further you get down in there. They also have some fuel cans if you just really want to have a Sunoco fuel can in your house. They are actually kind of cool. I have considered buying one as well, but then when I look around my office, I'm like, where are you going to put it at, dummy? There's nowhere to put anything else in here. So having said all that, yeah, if you're in the market for some old race car parts, or you want to just get into the market for some old race car parts, there's plenty available in this sale. Head over to Iron Horse Auctions and check it out over there. Like I said, through January 7th, there's a 15% buyer's premium that goes on it as well. But you can probably pick up some stuff pretty cheap. You just have to go to Charlotte to pick it up or arrange shipping for it. We also had a number of drivers announce sponsorships for the 2025 season. We'll start off with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who once again will have Sonny D on the side of his number 47 Hendrick Motorsports car in 2025, starting with the Daytona 500 for multiple races, is what the team's release said. Honestly, the car looks great. I like that Sonny D is a sponsor in NASCAR because it's a consumable product people can go out and buy. Also, hand up, took me a long time to realize that Sonny D is not actual orange juice, and the D doesn't stand for vitamin D. Yeah, that's on me. I should have really looked into the labels of that. Moving on from Ricky Stenhouse Jr., though, on to Michael McDowell, who has picked up Workforce, who will be back on that number 71 car, or with rather Spire, for 3 races in the 2025 season, starting with the Clash next week, 2 weekends. Holy crap, it is really close. It's like a week and a half away at Bowman Gray Stadium. My brain broke there for a half a second. But that 71 car does look very good, and we always like to see sponsors come back to NASCAR as well and continue their partnerships along. And then we also have Noah Gragson announcing that Rush Truck Centers will be on that number 4 car over at Front Row Motorsports for him for 8 races in 2025, which we already knew that it was going to be on the car because it leaked already. The paint scheme did, but now we have like official confirmation. We know how many races it's going to be in, and we like the fact that they are continuing their partnership along in 2025. There's been some talk about where if Mahindra Tractors is going to stick around in NASCAR or not. Could they possibly end up over at FRM? That seems to be a rumor that's going around as well. Either way, it definitely appears that people are picking up sponsorships again. Front Row announced that Speedy Cash don't really love, their business practice, but they are back in NASCAR spending money once again as well. So all things considered, we are having a decent, return of sponsors back to the sport. Some new people coming in, Prime over on Chase Elliott's Hendrick Motorsports car for 2025 and 6 and 7, maybe, is a 3-year deal. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it's cool to see a number of sponsors returning, and hey, some new ones coming in and spending their money and wanting to stick around as well is certainly never a bad thing. So let me know in the comments what you think about the format for the Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium, the Hendrick Motorsports auction that is going on, as well as these new sponsors or, just sponsor announcements for these drivers. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at Break Hard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Break Hard Blog.